Hello and welcome to episode 211 of the official EstablishRun.com podcast. My name is Adam Levitan, and today I am joined by the one and only best ball king, Justin Herzig, for unfortunately, another emergency podcast, our second emergency podcast of the week. This one in the wake of Michael Thomas's foot surgery. News broke this morning that Michael Thomas did have surgery in June on his troublesome ankle and is expected to miss roughly 4 months. Shout out to me. I have 0 MT so far. Justin, not so lucky. Based on his portfolio reveal on the site, looks like he has around 12%. Justin, how's it going, buddy?
It's going okay. Yeah, not the best of circumstances for us to come together, but, I think it's July 23rd now, and we know going into August, this is still probably a little earlier than we expected, these kind of season-breaking news items to come out, but we got to be ready because especially come August, these are going to come in, and maybe not to the degree of a torn Achilles and what we see and stuff, but with the Cam Akers and Michael Thomas, hey, we got to be ready, and so let's talk and let's see how we can kind of adapt.
All right. This episode is going to be short and focused strictly on the fallout from Michael Thomas's injury. Before we get to his teammates and the effect there, let's start with Michael Thomas himself. Right now, we are projecting him to return around week 7 following the Saints bye. Michael Thomas was previously a round 3 pick. Now he's going to miss, somewhere at least 4 to 8 weeks of the regular season. We don't know how healthy he'll be when he returns. His quarterback could be Taysom Hill when he returns. Justin, how are you thinking about where to draft Michael Thomas now? Let's start, with best ball, and then we'll move to manage, because I think it's a little bit of a different conversation. But let's start with best ball. How are you thinking about where to draft Michael Thomas now?
Yeah, so for starters, I was never too concerned from Michael Thomas, whether it was going to be Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston. We saw even when he was with Taysom Hill, he was still getting a ridiculous target share. And so, yeah, maybe the efficiency isn't as great, and maybe the end zone, because you're going to get a little more of that kind of just taste and wonkiness goes down. But overall, I was content drafting Michael Thomas no matter who that quarterback is. Now it's less about, the efficiency stance, and it's more about just what's going to happen to that whole offense. So when I'm thinking of Michael Thomas right now, I'm almost thinking about more of the game theory aspect of, so we get him back in week 7. How is he going to be at 100%? Probably not with these kind of lingering injuries, especially the leg injuries. But hey, if the market's going to be valuing him, I want to think about any draft I take him right now, I'm getting leverage over everyone else that has already taken him in that late 2nd, early 3rd round. So from a purely strategic aspect of best ball, I think what we need to start thinking about is, okay, we're not really sure what's going to happen, how much is going to come back 100%, but there's going to be fewer teams that'll make it to the championship or that'll make it to that final round who have drafted him early on just because they've extended that capital. And so it may actually make you more unique. So I'm actually more attracted to the idea of drafting Michael Thomas. We just got to figure out where he's going to settle from an ADP wise. Me personally, I have him. And so I'm looking right now. I think I've got him right after that kind of Brandon Ayuk tier, right before the Beckham. But it's really, it's really difficult to kind of project someone when they're going to miss 5-6 weeks. We don't really know what they're going to come back for. So for me, I'm saying, hey, let's let the ADP settle where it settles. From there, I'll then decide from a game theory aspect how much Michael Thomas I start drafting.
The game theory is the reverse of the Cam Akers thing, right? So if you take Darrell Henderson now, you're taking Darrell Henderson in round 5 or whatever, when a lot of other people have him in round 12. This is the reverse. You'd be taking Michael Thomas in, round 7 or round 8, when a lot of other people have him in round 3. So it's kind of the reverse. And to what Justin's point, you're going to have a better chance to be unique, because a lot of those teams that use 3rd round draft capital, there's so much opportunity cost in round 3. I don't want to say they're dead, but they're really unlikely to make it to the finals. From a micro perspective, for me, I'd have him a little bit lower. If I wasn't thinking about game 3, I would still take Odell over Michael Thomas. I would take Tyler Boyd. I would take DJ Chark, but I would take Michael Thomas over that Laviska, Big Mike Williams, Gallup, Antonio Brown types. Managed leagues, though. Let's say you have a managed league coming up, a managed draft, aka a normal season-long league where you have access to waivers. You can stream. You can probably make do a little bit better without Michael Thomas for the first 4 or 5 weeks. How would you think about Michael Thomas in a managed format?
Yeah, in a managed league, and I mean, a lot of the people who are listening to these pods, the leagues you're in with your friends, you're probably at a little bit of an advantage to begin with. So you're able to you're kind of able to manage and, survive those first couple weeks. The playoffs in managed leagues are so much more important because a lot of managed leagues, you see 25 to 40% of teams make the playoffs. You really just got to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So in that situation, I'm more content saying like, hey, I want to grab Michael Thomas. Where does that go for me from a ranking standpoint? Um, Maybe he moves above like around that T Higgins, but like there's some solid wide receivers that are still in that before Beckham tier area. I've definitely put him before the Pittsburgh guys just because even though there's talent with the Claypool and the Deontay, like there's just so many mouths to feed and there's so many other issues with that offense. So I'm saying now maybe I'm moving him up about like 5-7 spots. Just because, hey, I trust myself to be able to survive those weeks without him, still pull out a couple W's. And overall, all I'm doing is making the playoffs. And then I've got Michael Thomas in the playoffs. Boom, let's hit the road running.
Okay, let's move to a more macro conversation about how the Saints are going to play now. I mean, my God, their wide receiver depth chart, Justin, Tre'Quan Smith, Marquez Callaway, Deontay Harris, Little Jordan Humphrey, Juwan Johnson. I mean, they were already one of the weaker wide receiver rooms in the league. Now they're just an absolute stone disaster. Even a tight end, like I'm okay with Adam Troutman, but they let Jared Cook go. I mean, so there's going to be a lot to talk about when it comes to how the Saints are going to play. This conversation about who will start Taysom and Jameis. I know you think this makes them lean more towards Taysom without Michael Thomas. I kind of agree, but how do you think the Saints play it from a macro perspective without Michael Thomas for at least the first month?
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to put ourselves in the position of that coaching staff and think about, okay, now that I know this injury, like who gives my team the best chance at winning? And before, I personally believe it was Jameis. I mean, I think maybe Taysom keeps you in closer games or something. Like if you want to win the Super Bowl, if you want to make it, like you got to have a legitimate quarterback. And I think that's where Jameis plays. But now imagine Jameis there. Who's he throwing this to? Like you can't depend on Jameis, who Jameis loves to throw guys into coverage. He wants his wide receivers to kind of fight for him and win those jump balls. And Michael Thomas is a physical wide receiver. He's not just that slant boy. Like he would have done that. I'm not trusting Tre'Quan and Marquez and Troutman. So like as a coaching staff, I would say, I think there's a great opportunity to use Taysom, and we're going to become, before this, they were we had them as the third highest run team behind Baltimore and Tennessee. They may even become first or second now because we know they've wanted that run first offense since we've lost Breeze. We know that they have Latavius, they have Alvin. Now, if you add Taysom in the running game as well, that's where I really see this offense turning into. And yeah, so I mean, like I think like I'm leaning a bit more now that they're going to more likely to use Taysom just because I think that makes more sense for this offense. And if they use Jameis, how long does he stay until they decide they need to pull in Taysom?
Are you adding Taysom to 3 quarterback rosters in best ball? Because I have mostly 2 quarterback rosters. I try to get an elite one ideally and end up with 2, but there are 3 quarterback. You can make a case for 3 quarterback constructions. Does Taysom enter the mix there late for you?
Well, it does in general, because for me, for 3 quarterback teams, I'm not looking for 3 quarterbacks to be able to throw together a 20-point week and just survive. I'm looking for 3 quarterbacks that have upside. So Daniel Jones late, maybe even like Sam Darnold on a new offense, like who knows? Taysom fits that build. The problem for me has been, who do I stack him with? Because if you're drafting Alvin Kamara, you don't want Taysom. Like they're directly, inverse correlating with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Before, him and Michael Thomas would have been great stack partners. But now you don't have that. So I'm saying, hey, maybe if you want to go naked Taysom to end your draft and you've already got like 2 quarterbacks that are a little iffy, I don't hate that at all.
Okay, let's talk about Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray and the run game. I've been lower on Alvin Kamara than market out of the fear that Taysom's going to play. Now we think Taysom's going to play even more. That said, you remove Michael Thomas, you start pushing huge target shares to Alvin Kamara. Efficiency is going to be an issue though. And again, in his career, Taysom Hill has targeted the running back position significantly less, 7-8 points less, percentage points less than Drew Brees did. Alvin Kamara, is he still a top 3, top 4 option for you in the wake of the Michael Thomas injury?
I mean, it's July 23rd. This surgery happened in June. So it's July, it's August. We have 2 months of whoever that quarterback's going to be figuring out how to run that offense. And Alvin Kamara is, without a doubt, your best player on that field. So if Taysom is the quarterback, I have full confidence that the Saints are going to find a way to incorporate him in that game plan. Alvin Kamara has always been the game plan for the past 3-4 years. We just saw a couple games this year where Taysom was the QB, and maybe they didn't have that kind of jive, that mojo going together. But I have confidence if Taysom is the QB, Alvin's going to be great. So how do I think about from drafting Alvin now? I think his upside has increased because the games that we've seen, the splits with and without Mike Thomas are insane. Like he legitimately is going to average 10 targets a game, I think. Now, how do I think about the floor though? I also think now there's a increased likelihood he hits that floor, and that floor is probably even lower just because this offense could be so bad. Like, do you double team Alvin Kamara as a wide, like with a cornerback and a linebacker or something? Like, I don't really know, but what else do you have to be scared about?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think there's a lot of risk in Alvin Kamara now, not just that target share isn't where it is, but this offense could crater, right? And you see this like systematic problems with the entire offense. If they are one of the worst offenses in the entire league and you are stuck with a third overall pick, Alvin Kamara, it's not going to work out well. I don't care how good Alvin Kamara is. I don't care if he sees 10 targets a game. If this offense is absolutely atrocious, you're going to have big problems. So that would be, to me, the biggest downside with Alvin Kamara. There's systematic risk in the entire offense. This offense could be bad, man. I mean, the offensive line is really good, but the offense as a whole could be really bad.
It could be boring. That's my biggest concern, is that it could just be a run, maybe some dink and dunks or whatever, but like a boring offense that plays clock management and just so different than what we've seen from the Saints in the past. But like, we do know they have this run first philosophy. And now if we're even, we don't have any weapons to even spread the field. It scares me a little. And so I think from a tournament wise, I'm still content. I'm still drafting Alvin Kamara 4th overall because that upside now excites me even more. From like a managed league, from a redraft style, Alvin now scares me a bit more. Exactly. I don't know if he scares me enough to drop him below and like to Zeke and stuff, but like, it's not great.
Yeah, exactly. If I had one league, if I was playing with my buddies in one league this year and I was on the clock at number 3, I would not take Alvin Kamara. I would take Kelsey or Tyreek or Henry or Barkley or Zeke. I mean, I think there's too much opportunity cost at number 3 overall to take the risk of this systemic risk.
Is Henry not your 3rd?
Yeah, he would be in half PPR for sure.
Okay, yeah, agreed.
Okay. Any of these other guys going to crack your list now? Oh, Latavius. We got to talk Latavius because I've been actually taking a lot of Latavius. I feel like Latavius' ADP won't spike off this, but I kind of think maybe it should. And maybe if his ADP doesn't move, I think you can still get him, around 9, 10, 11 or so?
More. His ADP is like 132.
Okay. And I like Latavius for sure. He's going to get more opportunities now as they lean more run heavy. That could be, to me, one of the bigger winners and one of those kind of sneakier fallouts that we want to be on here. What do you think about Latavius now?
Yeah, I could see him getting 10 to 15 carries a game now, especially if they're going to say like, hey, Kamara, when we're using you, we're going to use you more as that wideout. And like, we need to give you 10 catches. Giving Alvin Kamara 10 catches doesn't mean he's now going to keep that same running back workload. I think they'll now lean more on Latavius. And I know you hate it, like, let's bring that running back and put him out wide and we'll play both at the same time. This might be one of the times we actually have to see them play in the field at the same time. But I think more likely is you just bring them in and off and they're just so heavily involved as a combinatorial unit.
I do want to note here, in our projections, we have built in an unnamed wide receiver. It's almost certain that the Saints are going to add someone. Golden Tate is available. Alshon Jeffrey is available. Danny Amendola is available. So we have built that into the projections. They're going to add someone. With that in mind, does Tre'Quan or any of these other dust balls do anything for you now?
Yeah, Tre'Quan has to. I've moved him up to that Buffalo Bills range. I think I have him right after the Emmanuel Sanders at 138 ADP, but above the Brashad Perriman and Sterling Shepard, who's we have him a little higher, but they're still in the 150s. I don't know. I'll have to do a couple of drafts and see, am I taking Campbell or am I taking Tre'Quan? You kind of get that reverse game theory aspect with the Tre'Quan as well. It's not as big a deal for me, 16th round versus 13th. So I'm not really thinking that much. But we have seen Tre'Quan have some big games when Michael Thomas wasn't playing. I still have in my mind that 2 touchdown game he had.
Yeah.
So it's nice there. Otherwise, like Marquez Callaway, Deontay Harris, like I'm not changing much. I think the running game is more what I'm attracted to.
Okay, last guy I got to ask you about before we get out here is Adam Troutman. In some circles, people have been excited about Adam Troutman even before this Michael Thomas injury. I'm not sure this helps him, though. I mean, any more attention that teams can play to other players, not that they're going to be paying a ton of attention to Adam Troutman, but it doesn't seem to help him, I don't think. But what do you think about Adam Troutman now? Were you on him before, and what do you think about him now?
Yeah, I wasn't in those circles. Just too much of a question mark. Like, I don't know. He seems like that typical guy where it's the tight end who we're like, oh, tight ends are so deep this year because we got guys like Adam Troutman. But like, he hasn't shown us anything excitement. And like, yeah, now he's got even more opportunity because there's just no one else fighting for those targets. But like, I don't know who's getting him the ball. It's just a situation where overall, like, what we want our tight ends to have touchdown opportunities. Is he really going to have touchdown opportunities this year? I don't know.
Yeah, I think with the news that Blake Jarwin is practicing, and they were, I think, around the same ADP, definitely prefer Blake Jarwin there for me over Adam Troutman. Okay. Sadly, 2 emergency podcasts this week alone are in the books. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure you're following Justin on Twitter at Justin Herzig. Be sure you're following Own the Moment for all your NFT needs. For Justin, for producer Adam, I am Adam. Good luck, everybody.